Militarily Speaking, episode 79, Support the Enlisted Project. We'll call it STEP.
Yes. This episode, we talk with Tony Teravainen, CEO and co-founder of Support the Enlisted Project.
Welcome to Militarily Speaking, brought to you by Armed Forces Bank. I'm Tom McLean, and I'm here with my probably the best co-host one could ever ask.
Wow.
And that's,
are we not recording?
Oh, no,
Is that what's going on?
It's Jodi Vickery.
Okay.
So yeah, Jodi Vickery. I'm the military retail exec for Armed Forces Bank, and Jodi, Executive Vice President and Chief Digital Officer. How about that for a title, Tony? Chief Digital Officer.
We haven't figured out what it means yet.
In the banking business, too.
Sounds fancy.
I know.
Again, welcome to our show. We're excited to have you listening and learning all about our guest, Tony Teravainen. And Tony, I want to take just a minute and share a little bit of your bio with our audience. This is all not new information to you, of course, but I want them to have a little bit of your background before we jump in and start talking about STEP. Tony's been a vocal advocate for the public support of our military community. He's assumed his position as president and CEO in February of 2014 after serving as a board chairman, director, and volunteer since the 2012 formation of STEP. As CEO, he oversees the positioning of STEP as a successful, trusted, and viable partner to young military families and transitioning veterans. Under that guidance, STEP was created in Southern California and is now serving families from across the country as he works to fill STEP's Vision 2032.
That's a long way off.
But it'll
probably be here quickly.
Fulsome vision, which I hope we'll hear about today, with a national presence. STEP has positively impacted more than 250,000 military and veteran family members, including 7,800 families in financial crisis, moved to self-sufficiency through his financial counseling intervention and $2.6 million in grants. And I think important to say with a 90% effectiveness rate. A little bit about Tony's personal background, son of a career Air Force father and having his U.S. Navy submarine career abruptly ended with a medical condition. Tony knows firsthand the hardships young military families endure. Mr. Teravainen left his consulting position at Booz Allen Hamilton to become STEP's full-time CEO, where for 5 years he consulted on strategy and process improvement. And prior to that, he spent 7 years running his portfolio of small businesses, 12 in manufacturing leadership at Sony Electronics, and 8 years in the operations, repair, and project management areas of the U.S. Navy's submarine nuclear power program. What that means is he is probably smarter than the two of us combined.
And a little bit more accomplished.
Yes. That is not on my LinkedIn, Tom.
But I can steal it and put it on my LinkedIn.
You could put it on your LinkedIn and everybody would
One
know.
out of every three doesn't have the right information on there anyway.
That you are not, in fact, equipped to work on a nuclear sub. In addition to serving as a commissioner on San Diego Citizens Equal Opportunity Commission, he also serves on the San Diego North Business Chamber Economic Development and Advocacy Advisory Council, San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce Defense, Veteran and Military Committee, and sits as past chairman of San Diego County's Military and Veteran Advisory Council. So very well tapped in, obviously, to the community that you serve. And among other leadership positions, he's chaired the San Diego Coast Guard City Committee and is an adjunct professor at the University of San Diego. He holds undergrad degrees in business management and nuclear engineering, a master's in executive leadership from University of San Diego, and ABD with his PhD in public policy at Liberty University.
That has to be the
That,
end
in fact, seals the deal about my comments about him being smarter than us. Yes, I have PH nothing after my name. He's received lots of awards and recognition for all of his good work to serve the community, including a few here that will name Spirit of Hope Award from the Secretary of Defense, Nonprofit Executive of the Year, Veteran of the Year, Top 50 Influential Veteran Business Leaders, Top 500 Influential People, Top 50 COVID Leaders. That's an award we never thought we'd have, right? Veteran Nonprofit CEO of the Year. He holds lots of license professionally in Six Sigma. I had a Six Sigma black belt once upon a blue moon ago. Project management and change management, and holds 1 U.S. patent. He's a TED speaker. That's probably something you aspire to, Tom.
So, what is a TEDx? It's TEDx, right?
Yeah,
What is
like
it?
a TED Talk?
Yes. Yeah. And the local versions of TED Talk.
See, you sell yourself short. You are pretty smart.
Yeah, I'm not a nuclear submariner, but most recently he led STEP to earn Nonprofit of the Year, which is awesome, at the San Diego Business Journal Citizenship Awards. He's married to Jaslyn with 2 daughters and a son. So you got your hands full in all sorts of places here. He resides in the Highland Valley area of San Diego County, where we established before we started recording that is 82 degrees today, which is not the case where we are in Kansas City. Yeah. So you're a busy guy is what I just read.
When he tells us, when Tony says, I don't have time for March Madness.
I appreciate that.
He's doing stuff that matters.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it all matters, right? Keep everything in perspective.
Just to give, it's Jacqueline, right? Just to give
did I say that wrong? I'm sorry, Jacqueline.
We got to give her credit. She's going to listen to this and she's going to play it back for him all the time.
My apologies. Yes.
All right, we got that out of the way.
Yes, he is far busier than either of us.
And Jodi, I would say you did a fantastic job reading a very substantive bio and a very, as I said earlier, accomplished.
Well, thanks. So we've got our accomplished guest who does impressive things on nuclear subs, and you're complimenting me on my reading skills. Which is
they're right. They're in lockstep, aren't they?
Yes.
Wait till we talk about Tony's orchards.
Level playing field. So, Tony, it is an honor to have you on your show. I'm going to try and raise this up out of wherever we were just headed. I want to say thank you for being with us. And before we pepper you with all kinds of questions, I'd love to have you just give our audience sort of that big picture view of STEP and what STEP is and what it represents. And then I know Tom and I both have several questions for you today.
Great. So yeah, I worked to create STEP, Support the Enlisted Project, in 2012. And it's really born out of this idea that we weren't doing the hard work as a community. There's this gap in this area. And there was a lot of agencies in San Diego that were helping nonprofits and veterans just survive. There was a lot of hardship. 10% of the military is stationed in San Diego County. So it is the most densely populated county in America, military county in America. And the community appreciates its military and it does stuff for it. And in that, what I saw in 2012 was a lot of people helping these families survive. And a lot of this looked like handouts. I got in a position where I was volunteering and I saw this happening and I thought it was great. I grew up in a military family. I know the lifestyle. I was the young submariner myself, and that is a challenging environment, especially for families and personal life. So I get it. It's like, these are my people. I understand what these people are doing. But in my time after the military, I'd really worked to become, through a lot of that stuff you read, what you could consider to be a professional problem solver. And so I'm staring at me, my family, my past, my heritage. But the other side of my head is like, how is this helping move the needle? And really that was the starting point for STEP. And it's like, and we were given half a chance to start a nonprofit, to do something. And I said, if we're going to do it, we need to fill this other gap. And this gap was, how do you help these families move past these lines of survival? How do you make them so they don't have to come back? And that kind of morphed into make it better financially. And then eventually I got to this point where it's like, let's help them through a financial crisis, but do it in a way that makes this their last crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And really that was the framing of the problem. I actually came up with some metrics to measure that. And then I had to go out and build a program to do it. And focusing on my strategy, I'm a strategy and process person. And I've also done a lot of work in change management, which is behaviors. So if I can make a bunch of government employees think it's a good idea to move out of offices back to cubicles.
Makes you a magician, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, those are cultural behavioral changes that once institutionalized shift the trajectory of that employee group or that corporation. So it's like, following that concept, can we do something like that around financial behaviors? I got with some social workers. I'm like, who does this for a living? And I figured out social workers did this for a living, help people change behaviors. And I went to him and I said, look, you've spent your life helping people change behaviors around addiction, abuse, homelessness, obesity, all these other issues, these chronic self-destructive behaviors that humans gather so easily. You help them change what they do. Will this work for financial behaviors? And the answer was yes. And we worked to put together essentially a behavioral intervention program where we can bring people in a financial crisis, using that crisis kind of the step one of change, their burning platform, their reason to change. And we can help inspire them that they can change. We can help them create a path to achieve a future state that they originally thought was unimaginable. And we can resolve, restore, retain the basic necessities along the way with our checkbook if we have to. And we can walk with them for that year after to help them recognize that they're making these small wins. These small wins are becoming big wins while they institutionalize those behaviors. And that's essentially what STEP does. Our mission statement now is to create financial wellness. So we've always done the same thing. It's like how we express it's different. We're on this term financial wellness now, which really is this bigger concept. It's an academic concept of, yes, you can meet your needs, but also how do you feel about your financial situation? Because you two, Jodi, can be in the same financial position, but it could be eating away at one person more than the other, right? Chronic financial stress just ravages the human mind, body, and soul. So how do we measure that? How do we help people get through that? So improve financial wellness. And this concept of financial wellness has been correlated to be one of the leading factors in food insecurity, homelessness, 25 mental and physical health conditions, and the leading catalyst for suicide.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yep.
And we do that through counseling, education, and financial support. And we do that through our young military and transitioning veteran families. We started, like you said, in 2012, and it took 3 years to figure out if we were going to keep doing this. And the answer was yes. 3 more years to build the business stable. And then we started looking at the next steps, and we started to see if we could answer the calls from across the country that we're starting to get. So in 2020, I set up my operation in Washington State as a trial expansion. Can I perform this counseling program remotely into a state that hasn't watched us grow up? And at the same time, I was getting calls from across the country, like I said, and I said, well, I'm tired of saying no. It's not building my brand. It's not helping me grow the trust and relationship I need by saying no. So after a few very pointed conversations with clients who called my cell phone asking for help and me saying no, I'm like, that's enough. So I built a process at the same time. If they call me passively from across the country, how can I help them through their crises? And we've been successful at that. Basically, based on that success, our ability to fundraise privately and fund all this without government support. And the board voted right at our 10-year point that our next 10 years, in a responsible manner, across the nation to bring it to all our military families.
Is that part, Tony, is that part of that Vision 2032?
Yeah, that is it. Yeah, it's like we really follow this concept of let's do one thing and let's do it really good.
Yeah.
All that other stuff, let's rely on partners as well to do that. So the one program we have and our reason for existence is to propagate this emergency financial assistance program, this counseling program. And that's what we want to grow across the country. We want to be able to get it in front of as many people as possible. And I didn't know anything about the nonprofit sector when I came into it. I was the strategy guy. I had started a lot of businesses, but never a nonprofit. I had to learn a lot about the nonprofit world just to start this kind of regional nonprofit. I had to learn a lot how scaling a regional nonprofit was completely different on the kind of that test expansion. And now as I embark on this national, like we're 2 years into it. So the framework, the foundation, and the operations team and everything's in place that we need. And now we're ready to roll out this bigger marketing plan. It's a lot of learning too. It's like growing something national in an existing market space where I'm not set up to be competitive. I'm a complementary service. There's nobody else that has my program, and I can partner with everybody out there who has other supportive programs, but it takes trust, it takes relationship, and I'm finding it takes a lot of bandwidth.
But it seems like the trajectory since 2012 is nothing but up, right? It's just you keep advancing the mission and you keep advancing the support and the recognition and the branding and the programs that you make that are really important for people. So kudos to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I wrote down something he says, help them through their crisis and make it their last crisis. I like that very much.
Well, we were on a branding workshop yesterday with our Association of Military Banks of America, and we spent 30 minutes on whether or not it's resiliency, wellness, readiness. What is the right buzzword for either getting over a crisis or being financially stable? And it's a struggle. And you talked about all the things about mental health or homelessness or food insecurity. Those are the things that veterans are facing and service members and families. And you're tackling it head on. So you're doing good work. And my question, Tony, was going to be about the Emergency Financial Assistance Program. Is there anything else you want to add about EFAP if we're going to throw out acronyms today?
I mean, yeah, it's a program that we created to serve a specific purpose. And we had that purpose in mind. We had our metrics in mind. As soon as we started getting enough data, we could analyze our metrics, and we actually went back into the program to adjust it. And we had to work, and we continue to work every day to achieve that 90% success rate. And I think it's one of the biggest testimonies, I think, to the validity of the program and why we need to expand it. So you figure this is not the military's problem, right? This is America's problem. America has poor financial habits, and they're developed before people turn 10 years old. And in their preteen years, they learn how to operationalize those financial beliefs. So we've got a country where 3 out of 5 Americans spend their entire paycheck or more. I think now it's up to 60% of less than $400 for an unplanned emergency. And I believe it's still around 70% of less than $1,000 total in assets.
And the retiree population too, Tony, right? I mean, you think about what that nest egg looks like, or how much do they have in an emergency savings account? The numbers are not pretty.
They're not pretty. And again, we've done this to ourselves, right? I mean, we've put policies and procedures in place. We put safety net programs into place that have allowed people to not do that. And we've actually created a culture where people don't need to take care of themselves.
I think sometimes they don't even realize what it means to take care of. I mean, like if you ask people, how much money do you need to have put away so that you can retire
they
and
just
live?
Transact.
You don't have to live an abundant, like crazy spending, frivolous lifestyle, but how much do you need to put away to live at least the standard that people probably don't even know.
Yeah, so it's a bigger issue. But in the military families, every year, what is it, like 0.1% of 18 and 24-year-olds from that pool of Americans with poor financial habits, on average, join the military. And we put them in a very stressful situation. We put them in a situation that has higher family stress, higher financial stress, and higher work stress than the rest of Americans. And you could argue anything, but the first thing we do to these people is rip them out of that home environment. And that's what was going to keep them solvent, right? That network, their high school buddies, their friends, brothers, sisters, family members, the country every 2 or 3 years. So there's whatever, $2,000 to $5,000 of unreimbursable costs per move. That puts the spouse in a 50% unemployment, underemployment rate. That locks them into that low income wage that 60% of our service members earn per HUD standards. You can deploy that service member between a third and a quarter of the time. So if you started with 2 parents, you can go back and forth between 1 and 2 parent household, but I think 20% of the military is single parents. So they got to find an aunt and an uncle to take care of their kids. The military is still the 3rd most deadly occupation. So over the last 40 years, more service members have died from work-related accidents than any other cause. It's the profession with the highest divorce rate. And you're going to actually tie their ability to maintain their security clearance and get good performance evaluations on their ability to manage money and keep that chaos out of their life. And it makes it much more of a struggle.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate circular reference, I think, because it all sort of feeds on itself. So, I mean, I think you're really good at guessing what our questions are going to be. I was actually going to ask about that. So you've got the pockets that you guys cover and help people understand how all this interrelates with the food insecurity, the homelessness, the mental health issues. I mean, I think you just summed it up really well, because while this stuff happens in just society as a whole, all the things that you just articulated are the things that I think a lot of people don't realize are unique impacts to military families. Yeah. And it exacerbates everything that a quote unquote normal family, not in the military, is going to be going through by some multiple. I don't even know what that multiple would be, but certainly.
Tony does have that operational analytical data set about him. Yeah. So he's probably got a lot of numbers and studies that you probably stay up late at night looking at studies, don't you? And data.
He's not up late filling out his bracket.
They call him a quant jock.
I bet though, if he filled out a bracket, he'd be the one perfect bracket standing.
I know. And Warren Buffett would have to pay him for that. Yeah.
Yes. New fundraising idea. But
talk a little bit more about the data side of the house too, because do you just need reinforcement that these things are, or because you live it every day, you know what issues are facing our military population and community?
Yeah. I mean, we see it. So we're serving just over 100 cases a month right now. So you figure 1,200 cases a year and growing. We're seeing families from across the country. It's about 70% of what we do is in San Diego and Southern California. About 15% is in Washington and about 15% in 38 other states.
Okay.
And it's the same issues, but different issues. Most of the people, we ask them how they found us, and 95% plus are from these personal referrals. And what we've been able to establish is this brand value that we're the place to go when you're really in a financial mess. And 65% of our referrals come from on base, friends, coworkers, neighbors, military supervisors, and then the agencies that they go to on base. They'll roll into one of these relief agencies or the financial counselors there, and they're like, you just need to go to STEP. We can do this part, but you need to go to STEP. and off base, 35%. Just in San Diego, it's about 140 referral partners. And there are other nonprofits that focus on military and non-military. They're big and small nonprofits. They're city agencies, they're county agencies, they're churches, there's colleges, community groups. One guy even wrote in there, somebody to help me change my tire on the side of the highway. It's like they get them in this moment. And what I need to do is get my value proposition into somebody's head in a way they actually believe it. So when themselves or somebody around them is suffering from this crisis, and it's not like, oh man, it's just times are tough, and this is a problem, and this happened, and this guy screwed me over, and this guy screwed me over. And it's like, by the time they get to us, those stories are done. And in my TED talk, I used this example of this Marine that came into our office, and we were in our first location. So it's 1,000 square feet. So everybody knew when somebody came in the front door. And he walked in on a Friday afternoon at 4:30. And he was actually giant. He like blocked out the sun from the door. So he's the size of like a linebacker. And this social worker walks up to him with this big smile, and she's maybe 4'11.5". And she's peering up at him with this big smile, and he's looking down with just this, it's just a blank expression. It's like, I can recognize it anywhere. And he pulled his cover off, and he literally shrunk in front of her, so much so that the room got lighter as he let in more light. Mm-hmm. And he said, again, the stories are gone. And all he said was, I don't have enough food for my kids tonight. They told me you could help, and I'm tired of this.
Wow.
I mean, that's like all he had left. He didn't just figure out on 4:30 on Friday night that he didn't have enough food for the weekend, right? He's known all day, probably known all week. And he's been trying and spinning the tails just isn't going to work anymore. And when he came to us, he said those words, but the social worker heard, I want to change. I want your help, and I want to do it now. And her job is to grab that tiny thread of hope that he's whispering that things can be different and start pulling it and get him up to the top of his, and she is going to inspire him that it can be actually different and that he can do it, that he makes enough money to meet his goals, that he can paint a financial picture for the future and start to really shift his thinking so that money is not a tool for survival, that money is a tool to achieve your future fullest potential and your future dreams and desires. That's what has to happen. And the whole first part of the counseling that they're working on is to help get them there to that change moment where they plant that flag. Our social workers, they are our financial counselors. They're one and the same, and they perform the same function, but it's not about the money. If it was about the money, an Excel spreadsheet would work. You could give everybody an Excel spreadsheet and just tell them how to spend their money, and it would just work. I could tell you to quit smoking, eat better, stop kicking the dog, yell at the kids. You would just do it because that's the right thing to do. Right? But our behaviors get in the way of this, and our habits. So what has to happen is here, they have to be able to help them overcome their personal challenges. And the reasons, that probably now 9,000 families that have gotten into these financial crises that showed up on our doorstep, there's 9,000 different reasons. And there's probably 18,000 because the spouse had one reason and the other spouse had the other reason, and they came together and created a third reason. And it's like, everybody's got their financial baggage. Everybody's got their emotional history, the different environments that they grew up in. It's like they come to these financial crises. They might look the same very quickly, as in they're getting evicted. You can't afford to get the car to the transmission shop. Their car's getting towed and repoed. Electricity's off. That's the same, but what got them there is different. And so we don't want to go into their history and judge them. But what the social worker needs to do is see what problems they're presenting as challenges for them to shift their thinking. So our social workers, they have a social worker degree. Most of them have a master's degree in social work. They all come from what we call shared experiences. So they've all been in the military somehow. They're a military spouse, they're a veteran, they grew up in a military family, they get the military life. The military life should not be why your finances look the way they look. That's just the environment you're in. You should be able to overcome that environment and still drive your behaviors and desires through that. And I send my social workers off when they come on board to get certified to be financial counselors so they can legally talk about the money. We get additional certifications and they become certified financial social workers. They get a lot more training in crisis response and suicide response and other types of issues that we deal with. But 90% of the discussion is this about the behaviors and what they want from money and how they see money and how what they bring to this problem needs to be solved. So the social worker can help them work through that. And when they're looking at their budget, if they feel obliged to pay their parents' cell phone bill or their parents' heating oil bill in Chicago in the winter, or pay their youngest brother's college tuition because they're the oldest and that's their cultural duty. It's having that conversation is not for a banker, right? It's not for a financial planner, but that is the roadblock of why this person can't figure out how to get their arms around their financial dreams, desires, and where their money goes. So we empower them that it can be different. And they use a lot of these different social work modalities to help them understand they have all the skills and talents they need, that they can do it, that it can be done. Once they commit to that, the social worker then is going to walk them through the process to build this plan for the future. It's not our plan for the future, it's theirs. So they have to say what they want. They have to figure that out. And that's going to come in shape of these goals. And of course, they're like, I don't have goals. Those are for rich people. And the social worker can say, what I heard you say. They've got all their case notes and they're professional listeners, and they're just, we're never allowed to tell them what to do. It's always about asking the questions. This is a solution-focused approach. We're trying to get them to their solution. So they might have said they wish they had $1,500 in the bank. They wish they could fly home for Christmas because they haven't been there in 3 years because they couldn't afford it. They wish. These are their goals. So we get them thinking about their goals. We can present them with the situation. Well, now let's look at your current money situation. It looks like, from what you put down, you're spending $700 a month more than you make.
And when you put it on paper, sometimes that's all it takes.
Right. And then it's like, and now they need to address this. So give them the space and time to do it. And we can't tell them how to fix it. We can't even tell them it's wrong. If they don't say anything, we might nudge them and say, is that sustainable? Or for how long is that sustainable?
Hey everyone, if you're looking for a little extra financial flexibility to take the family on a vacation, tackle that home renovation, or just get through the ups and downs of military life, we've got some great news for our military listeners.
Absolutely. Armed Forces Bank offers access loans that are perfect for handling life's unexpected expenses, consolidating debt, or even making that big purchase you've been thinking about. And with our fast approval process, you can get the funds you need quickly and easily without all the hassle.
At Armed Forces Bank, about 75% of our team is affiliated with the military, so we understand your unique needs. We've been supporting military families for over 100 years, and we're here to help you take control of your finances.
Whether you're active duty, a veteran, or a reservist, we're committed to offering you flexible terms and competitive rates, making sure you get a loan that fits your life.
So if you're ready to take that next step, head over to afbank.com or visit a branch near you. Armed Forces Bank, serving those who serve.
Member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Origination fee applies. Direct deposit relationship required. Loan terms are based on loan amount.
And it's like, then how can you correct it? And it's like, well, I guess I could make more money. Is there a way you can make more money? Do you have ideas? Do you have options? And if the answer is no, then what else can you do? And they need to say that you probably spend less. Like, all right, can you? What can you cut on it? But they have to get themselves to a cash flow positive budget somehow. We have their debt portfolio as well. So once they get themselves to this cash flow positive budget, by this point, they're committed. The relationship is built. They feel like they finally have somebody that they can trust that's in their corner to talk about finances. So now they can start having next level conversations about why they spend their money, where they spend it. They can have conversations about not being able to talk to their spouse about money without fighting. So again, the social worker might offer some tips and techniques to talk to spouses about money. They might offer them tips to talk to parents or other people involved with the situation. They can help them with the bigger questions and issues they have. And ultimately, they get themselves to a cash flow positive budget. They have the surplus, and they can figure out how much of their money goes towards debt, how much of the money goes to their goals, and it's really based on the time they have. We can fund the restoration of any basic necessities during this process. And then really with that is the discussion. They might call us up initially and they're like, what's an unlawful detainer? It's like, when's your court date? It's like, how do you know your court date? Because we know what an unlawful detainer is. And it's like tomorrow. Like, you need to be there. Or you need to call your landlord. Have you called your landlord? No. Why not? He's a jerk. He may be, but he's the most important person. It's like, we need them to stop filing legal papers. We need the commission to say you can stay there for another week, whatever it takes. They don't know how to do it. They're too afraid. They don't know what to say. So the social worker might start doing some role playing with them, right? If you were the landlord and I owed you money, what would you want? So really helping them solve this through a hands-on process. Inevitably, we're probably on the phone with the landlord with them, but they are learning and they're contributing to this process. Once we get them all the way through the process, we launch them out of the nest. And we've gone through the first 5 steps of John Cotter's change model at this point. And what's left is you need to start getting these small wins and recognize you're getting small wins. And then those will snowball into these bigger wins. And then you need to institutionalize those behaviors. And we execute those last 3 steps of change in the 12 months after they finish that counseling session. Then they move to follow up at 1 month, 2 months, and 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. We see the largest gains in financial wellness scores during those first 2 months, because at the first checkup, it's a disaster. They're very negative. They're very glass half empty. This is never going to work. And the social worker can go back to their notes and say, well, let's look at what your priorities were. Let's see how bad it was. And you said the most important thing was that your kids ate every meal. Did they eat every meal? Well, yes, they did. All right, well, that's something, because that wasn't happening before. The next most important thing was this, this, and this. Did you meet all your goals? Did you go into automatic overdraft? These were the things you said were important. Did you do all those? Yes. All right, well, those are all pluses. Now, did you save all the money you're supposed to save? No, I only saved $6, not $25. Okay. Did you pay all the debts? Well, I paid this credit card a little bit and that credit card a little bit, and I didn't pay any on that one. All right. So as compared to last month, did you do better or worse? So I'll go through this whole thing, help them understand that they are getting better. They may have had another setback that they had to readjust for, but financial challenges are going to continue to come. We have to teach them how to overcome these issues on their own. And they'll get that through that first 2 months. They recognize they're making a headway. They recognize it's hard work. They recognize it's their plan and they can adjust it as they see fit. And then we continue to help them answer the questions, still be their financial friend in this process, and really get them to the point where they don't need us anymore. And we hope to never see them again. And 97% we never see again. So making it their last crisis is what we want. And that 3% that do come back, those are usually some pretty crazy stories. And that's a much deeper discussion because we've got all the case notes from when they came to us, whether it was months before or years before. So yeah, that's the inside workings of the program. It's high touch. It's 20 hours or so of counseling per family, but you can't fix this without fixing each person's thing that's keeping them from being successful. So we have to figure out what's keeping them from being successful, help them come up with a solution, and then help them start to live out that solution and then see the benefits. And then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're just off on their own because now that's what they want to do. They realize they can do it and their life is actually getting better.
And with a 90% effective rate.
Yeah.
They got the right
they're
formula.
internalizing. The way that you're approaching it, you're causing them to internalize the how the process works versus just like you said, you don't want to just give them the answer because then that would be really destined to fail, I think. But yeah, teaching them.
We see that as kind of the easy way out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do that, right? I mean, if you don't have a house, you just give somebody a house, but they don't understand the value of that house.
Right.
They don't understand the value of that rent payment. We'll have a number of clients that aren't willing to do the work, and they might drop out and call us back next month and drop out and call us back next month. They're just trying to get it as easy as possible. And it's not they're trying to work the system. They're scared, right? They don't want to get evicted. You got some single mom yelling at you on the phone that blaming you that you're going to put them and their babies on the street. It's like, no, we're not going to put you on the street. We're giving you an option to be able to keep this, but you need to work through it.
Yeah.
And eventually they either come through the program and they go through it, or they're not going to change and we're not able to help them.
Tony, I'm going to wrap a couple questions together too about the private funding, no government funding, but you've got fundraisers. I'm assuming Cammy's the college is more on the fundraising side, but you also have the great golf event that you do annually there's a lot of household names that are out there that are supporting STEP at that golf event, but you've got a lot of companies rallying around you, and kudos to you again for probably building those relationships and showing the value proposition of what STEP does for people. And I can't imagine all the different ACSs and FRGs and all these other organizations inside the gates that you're collaborating either on a national level or local level at these installations. But you've got a lot of national support with prominent companies. And talk about the fundraising side or the programs that are helping you drive money for your nonprofit.
Yeah, I'd say we started this and we were just getting nickels and dimes from community members, and we've been able to continue to grow it. As we've been able to show more outcomes, larger impacts, larger outcomes, And through this new messaging with our updated mission statement that talks about financial wellness, we're trying to think about what's the most important thing we do, and recognize keeping somebody in their house is great. Getting electricity turned back on, feeding kids, giving them diapers, that's all great. But it's like, that's not what makes it sustainable. What actually makes this sustainable is that feedback that we get from that next level, where that client says, you saved my marriage. I don't feel like a failure as a parent anymore. I now have hope for the future, right? We've caused a very significant change in that person and helped really revitalize their ideals about what America offers, and that they can actually be part of, they can fulfill what they want to. They can reach their fullest potential. They have dreams again for their kids. They don't feel like they're stuck in the system. And I think that's the most important thing we're doing. And the more we're starting to share that, the more we're sharing that we have the ability to manage this program across a growing geography, the more we're demonstrating we can help people in their communities or in isolated communities across the country, help them solve these. I mean, these are the greatest societal ills that we're fixing for our military families. Having discussions with the recruiting generals about how this affects retention, right? How this affects reenlistments. I mean, the worst recruiting poster we have are all these homeless veteran ones, all these broken veteran ones. And the transition, people get out for a lot of reasons, but quality of life is one of the biggest ones. Blue Star Family does a great survey on this every year, and it's finances, it's quality of life, it's stress, it's food insecurity. It's this living in this constant financial stress just really makes the military life challenging. And what we have to offer these families is a way to take away that stress, put them back in the driver's seat. Maybe they stay in longer, maybe they recommend it to their friends, but at least while they're in, they have a better life. And then while they're out, they're going to have this better life. And the more we can share that message across the country and then say, who else wants to help us serve more families? It's like we're finally getting all our stuff squared away enough that we can go full tilt into this growth. Last week, we have our AOR was actually expanded across California, Oregon, and Washington. So we're officially 3 states covering now, and then the rest is space available. And we'll be broadcasting that out with this growth, and we'll be looking for more folks to help us. It's not, I didn't want to do this as an extension of the government. If the government could have fixed this, they would have.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't need to come up with this idea on how to do it that is, I'll say, sophisticated, and then have somebody come in and say, yes, I'll fund you to do that, but do it this way instead.
Right. Here's all the red tape.
Yeah. It's like that doesn't work. We don't have the time for it. We don't have the bandwidth for it. And we run much leaner than that. We're not trying to set this up as this giant enterprise we're trying to create. We just want to get this program in front of people and keep our focus on what we believe is the right thing. So yeah, as we continue to scale across the country, I'm out fundraising in Hawaii right now. The Hawaiian military leadership wants us. And then I learned it's not just Hawaii, it's all the Pacific Rim. I'm like, how did I forget about South Korea,
Right.
Japan, Alaska, Guam? There's people living in a lot of hardships out there as well. And they want our program. So in fact, the general's wife, Army Pacific general's wife, she said, where are you going after Hawaii? And I said, probably Colorado or Texas. And she said, keep going west before you go east. I am west. She's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're not. So yeah, that's my dream. That's why I've stuck with this. I was planning on being with STEP just to get it started. And then I fell into the CEO slot as well. And I said, well, I'll do this for 6 or 8 months and get it to a place that doesn't need me anymore. And
Yeah, you can't. There's no escape,
you're hooked.
Tony.
You're hooked,
no
yeah.
escape.
well, and what it looks like when it doesn't need me anymore. It's like it always needed to go to that next level plateau.
Yeah.
And so I just keep pushing this rope and making it happen, I guess. It's like we've got a great team, very passionate team and great supporters. And we're just really blessed to be able to do this.
I was going to ask a little bit about your team, but before I do, I want to make sure that along the way, I don't think we've pointed out the website yet today either. So
make sure we got that right.
It's www.teamstepusa.org. And so I think a lot of the information, hopefully, that people can find out there. You have an impressive staff. They run the full gamut, as you shared today, from people with talents and gifts in social work, military experience, nonprofit experience, you name it.
Grant writing,
marketing, all the skills that you need to execute on the plans that you've laid out here. As you expand and go beyond, how do you see maintaining that level of high quality, high caliber folks around you to make sure that that's fulfilled when it's not right there and close enough to touch on a daily basis?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I have put a lot of thought into that. And a lot of this comes back to processes and procedures. I mean, it's like we have the top rating on the big three watchdog agencies, and people are like, Tony, how did that happen? Well, it didn't happen by itself.
Right.
I had a strategic goal to get the top ratings, and I had to figure out what they used to rank me. And I went back in and I did all those things, which helped me set up a good agency. Those are all best practices to begin with. And we did it. So policies and procedures with the people, but I follow a servant leadership style. My number one job is to facilitate the success of my team. And I think I say that enough that they joke about it.
They believe it though. Yeah.
Which means they believe it.
Yeah.
Right. And I have to live up to my part of it. So how do we continue to grow with this culture? The culture is the most important thing that I do. Beyond, I think facilitating their success is actually comes from this culture. And I go to lunch with every employee at this point, every new employee at their 45-day point. And I want them to meet me because a lot of them don't get to see me anymore because I travel a lot and they are in different places. I want them to understand what I want for this culture. And then I also want their feedback on how they're assimilating to the agency, because soon they're going to get their 90-day performance evaluation, which we tell them what we think of them. But in that culture piece, I talk a lot about the early days, why I did it, my story. And when I started it, I didn't know anything about nonprofits. And at the time, my mother I think she just retired or was getting ready to retire as a college professor, an English college professor. And my first annual report was a PowerPoint slide deck. And we had to come up with grant letters, and we had to come up with slick sheets and stuff like that. None of us knew anything about this stuff. So I was asking her questions. And of course, like a good college professor, she never had an answer. She's like, well, you just mark the thing up and tell me what words. And she's like, no, you need to think about the main points. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My first speech writing, I used her a lot. So she was very involved, and she would come out and visit. And when she would come visit and she'd come in the office, I would notice there's this kind of reverence about her. And she was a threefer. So she was the boss's mom, and we like the boss. We'll just say that.
We'll assume that.
It's Dr. Gordon, right? So we don't know how to act around this very intelligent, powerful woman. But at 18 years old, she was also a military spouse with one kid. And by 20, she had two kids, and her husband was going back to Vietnam for the second time. And she grew up in Wichita, Kansas. And now she's getting dropped off in Brooklyn, New York with this 150-person family. And that's the road she lived for 20 years as a military spouse. She didn't even start going to school until after my dad retired from the military. So she gets it. And really my point to my team is the way you treat her when she comes in the office, the way everybody treated her, that's the way we're going to treat every family. And I don't care how many caps are in that email, what that text looks like, how much they were screaming on the voicemail they left, or what kind of circus comes in that front door. You need to treat them all like they're my mother, like you would treat my mom. Because this is where she came for 20 years, while she was trying to figure out how to keep our family together as we traveled around the world, supporting my dad in his service. And so that culture, that we need them to feel like we're a safe place, that we respect and honor their service. We're not here to judge their past or their future. We're here to walk beside them while they overcome these challenges that they have with their money and get them on a path that's shame-free and where they can actually achieve the futures that they dreamed about.
Yeah, it's so important. I mean, I made a note in the margin on something you said earlier. And as you were talking, it's just, you've built this place of trust. And with this group of individuals who are of high character and strong disposition, it's hard sometimes for them, I think, to ask for help. And so to create that place where it's comfortable and maybe not comfortable, but safe to do that, like you said, in that judgment-free zone.
I'll go back to, I'm just going to read a couple things to our audience, that there's a lot of innovation out there from companies that are supporting you. And there was like a sneaker giveaway for military kids, 100 one-way tickets from Southwest Airlines, crockpot donation by the United Way, realtors running a food drive that resulted in 6.5 tons, I think I read that correctly, of items.
A lot of food.
And then you go back to all the things that people say about STEP too. And knowing you have a 4-star rating from Charity Navigator is a testament to how you run your shop, Tony. And then you look at some of the reviews out there for STEP, it having a positive impact on military families, great customer service and staff, supportive financial assistance programs, mission-driven, and employees describe it as welcoming, positive, with opportunities for growth and development. So I think you can put a stamp on what you talked about with the culture and talk about how people are perceiving and receiving the services and support that you provide. And it just seems like everybody's gravitating towards wanting to put their best foot forward and help STEP, whether it's the companies, whether it's the ideas, whether it's what can I do to help. And people, Jodi mentioned your website. They can volunteer, they can donate, they can find out more, they can come up with their own creative ideas of ways to help you on the fundraising side. But I just wanted to capture some of the things that the outside world says about you, but also what the inside world says, and how great you've made a difference with organizations that want to get behind you. That question you ask is something we need to ask as a bank and as volunteers. Is you said, do you want to continue to help these military families? Like, why wouldn't you want to help these military families? It's table stakes. If you're a military bank, or if you're a nonprofit, or if you're a company, how do you say no to that? That you can't get behind supporting military families that need our help. You mentioned homelessness. You mentioned the wellness on the mental health, and just food insecurity, things that feels like the government should help. But organizations like STEP and a whole plethora of organizations that are in the space of helping military families, you're just another great example of work that's being done. And for people that haven't heard of you, I'm glad we're doing the podcast so people can hear about you. But it sounds like you're doing a pretty good job of getting the word out there other than this podcast. Yeah.
Keeping himself very busy. Is that the best place for either individuals, or if we've got companies or business clients that are listening, teamstepusa.org? If they want to connect with you to do any or all of this in terms of support, is that the best avenue?
Yeah, that's the best place. Up in the top, I think it's right-hand corner now, or at the top, there's a button that says apply for services, volunteer, donate, and then they can contact us as well. So we have an info at website for email address that you can get there. My contact information's there. They can send people there for services. They can find out more of what we do. So that's the best kind of the clearinghouse for anybody.
Okay, no, that's great.
There was something we wanted to ask Tony, and we're probably going to get to the finish of this too, but there was capacity building campaign. And I did mention earlier about the CAMIs, right? I mean, if there's a couple of programs you want to come to the finish line with the audience, because you've covered a lot of great ground with us today, that talking about any other programs that you want to bring to the forefront?
Or anything we wouldn't have known to even ask, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those other programs, when I started STEP, I said, let's just do this counseling program. We're not doing anything else. We're not getting distracted, like, at all. But I couldn't stop the community from giving me backpacks, food, and Christmas gifts and stuff like that. They just kept bringing it. So I said, fine, you're going to give me this. Let me figure out how to use it as a tool, right, to promote our greater mission. And so what that's really become here in San Diego is it's the big end of my funnel, right? This is my branding and marketing programs. So I meet a lot of community partners through our back to school program, our Thanksgiving program, our Christmas program. We have an Easter program. We have a warehouse full of donated goods that any military family or veterans can just take whatever they want. We give out 200,000 pounds of food a year, 200,000 diapers. We hand out, I think we're like 7 distributions a month now. Some are here, and then the rest are on military bases and throughout the community. So this is kind of, we're going to get a bunch of stuff from the community, and that becomes the big end of my funnel for meeting donors and community members. And then I can take that merchandise, it's about $1.5 million a year at this point, and I can give it to the military communities, and they become the big end of my funnel for my client side. It's how they learn about STEP, and they learn about, we have positive brand impression, and then we provide some economic value, offset a cost for training or something like that. So as we continue to grow STEP, Washington State has started to develop its own programs. I don't want to put San Diego's STEP in Tacoma or Bremerton. It needs to be theirs. So they really like the back to school program because we make it an educational fair, and we help people learn about educational opportunities, as well as giving them backpacks and other stuff like that. They really like, at the same time they do the backpack drive, a lot of people want to collect winter coats and military boots, or not, like snow boots and stuff like that for military families. So we let them do that. But these are ways that the community engages in the way they want to. So we get about I think probably 10,000 volunteer hours a year here in San Diego for people that just come into our warehouse and manage these programs with us. So they make that happen. It helps definitely get the word across, grow the name, grow the brand, and helps get that bigger message out there that STEP's the place you go when you're really in financial trouble.
I can imagine the distribution and all the jobs related to inventory management.
Just
My
the
goodness.
logistics of it, yeah.
Yeah, just keep coming. You want to play a game?
Yeah, if he'll give us just a couple more minutes.
Want to play a game?
I do. I want to play the military minute. So this is a question that, Tony, if you know the answer to, you're welcome to answer this time. The second question.
Because it was the last podcast.
Not so much, but this first question was from our last podcast. The average number of troops deployed at any given time.
What is the average number of...
He's so smart and he has all the degrees. He may know.
Well, he's Googling it at the same time, but yeah.
Step away from Wikipedia.
What's the number? You're using AI. Yeah.
And if it's wrong, then I blame Tom because it's his answer.
Yeah. So I would say you got 1.25 million. So let's just say 10%, 125,000.
Oh, I told you he's a data guy.
Math is mathing on his end.
He's got the margin of error in there, plus or minus, right?
And I don't know if you call like somebody stationed in South Korea or Germany.
Now he's getting technical.
Yeah.
And I'm
Tom doesn't think things through to that level.
I'm going to put asterisk next to the answer then.
The number that Tom was looking for was 150,000, but I was impressed with the mathematical way he got to that one. Yes.
I couldn't even start.
So if you listen to the last podcast and you hit 150,000 in the comments, please watch for your name to be the one that was selected to win $50 for yourself and $50 for a charity of your choice. And now Tony, I'm going to apologize in advance for today's questions.
This is one of my favorite questions of all time.
So this is the first time we've ever had a 3-part question because Tom can't control himself. Oh, it's at the second time?
Yeah.
Okay. And you can't answer these. And it's probably best if you don't anyway, because right now I think you're a very smart person.
I know. And I kind of went down to third grade level on this, right?
And Tom took us down a whole different path, but the theme is STEP. So you'll hopefully at least enjoy
I thought that was pretty clever.
That he tried really hard to be thematic today. This week's Military Minute takes us to a question or questions, plural, about music trivia. So don't answer. It is a 3-part question.
I want to see if I want to see his response.
Okay, so nod if you know, because then it'll make Tom feel better.
Yeah.
Which musical group sings the song Step by Step? I feel like I should sing these.
Pause. Step by step.
So that's question 1. Which musical group sings the song Gimme 3 Steps?
We're getting nothing from
I got
Tony.
no nods coming in hot from Tony. The third question is, which musical artist sings the song 1-2 Step? Not to be confused with the Texas 2-Step, which is totally different.
We have a lot of arts, entertainment, culture. We bring it all back to the culture side.
These should all be Googleable. Make up a word. Googleable. So if you are bored and you don't have as much going on as Tony does on any given day, find out who sings Step by Step, Gimme 3 Steps, and 1-2 Step, and drop it in the comments.
And did you know the answers before you read them?
No. I knew one of them.
I know, but you can sing them in your head.
I could sing 2 of the 3.
Okay.
So anyway, post your best answer. You guess if you need to. And then if you guess right on all 3 questions, then you too could be entered for a chance to win $50 for yourself and $50 to a charity of your choice.
And I did the 3-parter with STEP to keep people thinking about STEP. Is that fair?
Well, I'll just say good job, Tom.
Okay. I just want to pat on the back. That's all.
I know you did.
If you enjoyed today's episode, go out to afbank.com and subscribe to the show. And you can rate us. You can leave us a comment about how much you enjoyed Jodi's personality on your favorite podcast platform. On Apple, Tony, we're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're everywhere.
Yeah, but thank you so much for being here, Tony, and telling our audience and us all about STEP. Appreciate your time. Obviously, you're a very busy guy, so appreciate the hour.
No, I'm glad we made it work.
Thank you for your service, and thank you for all that you're doing 25 hours a day.
Yes,
thank you, Tony.
Yes.
Thank you.
Copyright Armed Forces Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. All non-Armed Forces Bank owned apps, websites, company names, and product names are trademarks or registered trademarks of their respective owners. Their mention does not imply any affiliation with or endorsement by Armed Forces Bank of them or their products and services. They are merely used as examples of the many available apps, companies, and websites that offer similar services. Before using any app or website, you should carefully review the terms of use, data collection, and privacy policy. Apps may have an initial cost or in-application purchase features. This information is general in nature and is not intended to be legal, tax, or financial advice. Although Armed Forces Bank believes this information to be accurate, it cannot ensure that it could change. Statements or